armies or killed people or told his Jewish special people to go in and take the land and kill everyone, and God went in description of which people to kill, and he had a list. And depending how good the Jews were at the time, they could keep the virgins for themselves or kill them too. I always wondered if Christians are Christians because they haven't read the Bible. I saw that on a bumper sticker. If people read the Bible, they'd be atheists.
Probably. From what I'm learning, I don't even want to touch a Bible.
And they think that's age appropriate for kids and not the books about queer marriage. I start laughing. It's funny.
I feel like queer marriage and like the LGBTQIA thing, I feel like it's getting ridiculous that people are trying to ban those from the schools and stuff, because I feel like it should be known and it should be accepted, because it's a part of history. It's a part of people literally evolving, being themselves, who they are, and you want to remove that from schools. Okay, I feel like there is a age limit to certain things.
I used to think so too, until I figured out that most famous people who later came out knew anywhere from the age of 4 to 10 years of age.
Really?
And half the people who identify as non-heterosexual have contemplated suicide. And depression is pretty high. And if your family does not accept you and kick you out of the house or disown you, 93% of those successful suicides wouldn't happen. I read that somewhere.
94?
93% of suicides of non-heterosexual people would not happen if their family accepted them in some way.
That's a lot.
And being homeless and disowned doesn't really do much for mental health, as it shouldn't. But, oh dear.
I feel like this world needs a lot of waking up to do, because there's a lot of things that people don't see, you know. I've honestly, if I ever had a kid and they came out to me, oh, I'm gay or I'm queer or whatever it is, I feel like I would be accepting, because at the end of the day, I'm not the one with that person, you know. I'm not the one how can I say it? I'm not the one living their life, you know, the child's life. Who am I to control what they want and how they feel when I'm not living? I don't know how to make that sense.
Of course, I grew up in an environment I didn't know anything about it. It was completely erased. And what I found out is religious people think that people who aren't heterosexual or have the heterosexual marriage and life are moral deviants. Well, if you actually look at the people who go to prison for moral indecency, the majority of them are heterosexual people. I think 2 out of 3 people in prison identify as religious, and less than 1% of people in prison are atheists. Of course, I get called morally depraved.
You're an atheist?
And I'm an atheist. Yes, I am.
But I feel like you really know both sides, because you've been raised in a Baptist household, so you know the truth about how everything really is in the Bible and stuff like that. And I feel like you kind of made your opinion based on your experiences, you know, like.
Yeah, because then I realized that there's like 40,000 Christian denominations, and they all believe their way is the only right way. And there's over 100,000 religions, belief systems, and they all believe theirs is the right, so somebody's lying.
All of them is lying.
And I mean, if most of them are lying, I would say it's safe to say they're all, because, I mean, there's a pattern here.
But you know what's crazy to think about? And if you really think about it, most of the predators and most of the cases are in church, and it's most likely the priest.
most terrifying thing I learned being a Southern Baptist adult is the only denomination of Christianity that has more CSA in an SA is the Roman Catholics. Baptist is second, United Methodist is third. So I grew up in the second most dangerous denomination. Of course, my mother grew up in Pentecostal, and I said, excuse me? Because the Pentecostal people, they invented the term drinking the Kool-Aid, Jonestown. Yeah, of course, my father, he grew up Seventh-day Adventist. If you've ever heard of Waco, Texas,
No.
the tanks that went in, the military tanks, 93, David Koresh, it was a cult. That was an extremist version of Seventh-day Adventist.
I need to start doing